One morning, Theodore and Hank were on their way to the edge of the harbor to welcome Stewiacke, the salvage ship. Hank was very excited.
If Stewiacke is coming, smiled Hank, that means Pugwash is coming too.
Just then, they heard a ship's horn. Sure enough, Stewiacke was arriving. The tugboats tooted their biggest big harbor hello on their whistles.
There's Pugwash,
called Hank. And sure enough, the mini submarine was in her special cradle on Stewiacke's deck. Stewiacke and Pugwash traveled far and wide, hunting for clues deep beneath the water. But whenever they visited the big harbor, it was always a special occasion.
You look bigger,
said Theodore. Pugwash proudly showed off her new fin to her friends.
Wow! I bet Northumberland will be really excited to see you again,
smiled Hank.
Where is Northumberland?
said Pugwash.
I can't wait to see him.
He should be floating by here any moment, smiled Theodore. And sure enough, Northumberland's submarine was just rising to the surface out by Owen, the giant oil rig, after finishing his nightly underwater ocean patrol.
Hey, Northumberland!
Boomed Owen in his extra big voice.
Guess who's here?
Who? Said Northumberland.
Stewiacke!
Roared Owen.
And guess who's with him? Riding up on his deck, just as cute as a catfish's kittens.
Pugwash, said Northumberland in a very quiet voice.
Yes, sirree, Bob!
Blared Owen.
And I know you two are closer than two barnacles on a blowhole.
No, replied Northumberland. We're not.
Now how can you not like a cute little pickle boat like Pugwash?
Hollered Owen. Owen! Shh! Whispered Northumberland. Too late. Stewiacke and the tugboats were heading his way.
Oh, you want me to be quiet?
Roared Owen in a voice so loud it shook Northumberland's periscope.
Hey, I can do that, huh? No problemo!
Countermeasures, cried Northumberland. Dive, dive, dive!
That's funny, said Theodore. I was sure I saw Northumberland out here. All I can see now is Owen.
Theodore and Hank floated along with Stewiacke and Pugwash as they came into the harbor.
Don't worry, Pugwash,
smiled Theodore.
Northumberland always falls on his way home. He's a very sleepy sup.
Always, repeated Hank.
He'll be here any time now, said Theodore, looking around. He's very sleepy, added Hank.
But there was no sign of him.
Maybe Northumberland came home early and he's already at his dock,
Theodore decided.
And then he had an idea. I'll go bring him over, he told Pugwash. He wouldn't want to miss seeing you.
With a merry toot-toot of his whistle, Theodore hurried off to get Northumberland. Over by the Navy Yard, Northumberland was slowly rising to the surface. He looked this way and that. Whew, he sighed at last. No sign of Pugwash.
Northumberland!
Someone was calling him. Northumberland looked around.
Theodore, he said, don't scare me like that. I came to tell you that Pugwash has come for a visit, smiled Theodore.
I don't want to see Pugwash, Northumberland.
But I thought Pugwash was your friend,
said Theodore, surprised.
She bumps me, explained Northumberland.
At first, Theodore almost smiled at the thought of a great big Northumberland being scared of tiny little Pugwash.
She seems very well behaved to me,
Theodore said at last. She's going to bump me, insisted Northumberland. She always does.
Well, maybe she's changed, said Theodore.
She is a little bigger than when she visited us before. Northumberland didn't say anything at first.
You always used to fall asleep on your way home, Theodore continued. But today you didn't. I guess
I didn't, agreed Northumberland. But it was only because I wanted to get away from Pugwash, he added quickly. Pugwash really wants to see you, said Theodore. Well, wouldn't you? Just then, the two heard loud whistles. Hank had decided to lead Pugwash straight to Northumberland. I bet Northumberland will be so excited to see you, grinned Hank. He just won't be able to float still. Sub bumper, cried Northumberland. Dead ahead. See, said Hank, I told you he wouldn't be able to float still. Well, Northumberland wasn't floating still, all right. He was looking for a way to escape Pugwash. He turned this way and that way, but there was no escape.
Tactical maneuvers,
he shouted.
Hide, hide, hide!
Where's Northumberland going? Said Hank, who was very puzzled. He didn't look so excited to see me, said Pugwash. He's afraid you're going to bump him, Theodore explained. Oh, I don't do that anymore, said Pugwash. I didn't think so, said Theodore, but now we have to make Northumberland believe that. Whatever you say, Theodore, said Pugwash. Well, how'll we do that? Said Hank.
Theodore decided there was only one thing to do.
Pugwash, he said, we're going to find him.
Without wasting another word, Theodore set off with Pugwash and Hank to hunt for Northumberland. Deep beneath the waves, Northumberland was heading out of the harbor. If I can make it to the open ocean, he told himself, Pugwash will never find me. Up above, the submarine hunters were approaching Bedford, the small bellboy who lived at the entrance to the harbor.
Northumberland was headed this way, Theodore told Pugwash. Hank and I will keep watch up here. Dive and head for land.
Northumberland always cruises along the coast when he leaves the harbor.
Diving,
called Pugwash. Down, down, down went the mini submarine. She floated towards the coast. At first, there was no sign of Northumberland. There he was. Sure enough, the big sub was cruising along the coast. Pugwash began to race towards Northumberland as fast as she could. Northumberland could feel the water below his hull get deeper and deeper. Soon, he would turn towards the ocean. Not much further now, he told himself. Northumberland began to turn when he caught a glimpse of something very scary.
Sub bumper!
He cried. Northumberland knew he could never outrace the quick little mini-sub. And there, just off his bow, was the Pictou Peaks, rising from the bottom of the ocean towards the surface.
One chance,
he choked.
Evasive action!
Northumberland slowly entered the underwater mountain range.
Northumberland,
called Pugwash. Pugwash was using her special underwater sonar to find Northumberland. Oh, that was close, shuddered Northumberland. The big sub rumbled off, still shaking.
Northumberland!
Pugwash, gasped Northumberland. Northumberland was frozen in place. Pugwash floated towards Northumberland. The big sub took a deep breath and closed his eyes.
Prepare for bumping,
he told himself. But the funniest thing happened next. Pugwash floated right up very close beside Northumberland and, oh, so softly, gave him a gentle little nuzzle. Northumberland was so surprised that at first he didn't know what to think.
I was afraid you didn't want to see me,
Said Pugwash. Well, I was afraid, well, you were going to bump me, Northumberland said.
I don't do that anymore,
Said Pugwash. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, said Northumberland.
Does that mean we're still friends?
Said Pugwash. Friends, said Northumberland, with a big smile in his voice. I'm very happy to hear that, smiled Pugwash. And up on the surface, Theodore and Hank were still hunting for Northumberland. Just then, the water began to bubble around them. And Northumberland and Pugwash popped to the surface.
Northumberland's going to take me underwater exploring in the harbor,
Pugwash shouted. Come on, Pugwash, said Northumberland.
Isn't he great?
No bumping? Theodore whispered to Northumberland. Things can change, Northumberland whispered back. The two happy submarines set off together, playing like happy dolphins in the water, and Theodore and Hank followed along after. Suddenly, Northumberland stopped.
Do you think something's the matter, Theodore?
Asked Hank. The big sub had fallen asleep right in the middle of the harbor.
Then again,
smiled Theodore,
some things never change.